minutes, and the title of this icebreaker is Fear to Fearless. Help me welcome Peter Scott.
It is May 1995, and at 10 years old, I am consumed by fear. I'm sitting in a room just like this. I've got my grandparents on one side. I've got an attorney on another side. And I've got my mother sitting right across from me. The attorney turns to me and says, "Peter, what would you like to tell your mom in this moment?" I look to my grandparents for support and strength, and their faces are filled with excruciating pain. And I look into my mom's eyes as tears are falling down my face. And I say to her, "Mom, I no longer feel safe living with you because of your alcoholism. And I'm choosing to go live with my grandparents. So if you want to be a part of my sister in my life, then you need to give up drinking once and for all." At 10 years old, I didn't know what sort of impact that event would have on my life. But I do know that I was consumed by fear. Fear of abandonment. Fear of not being loved. So I started creating different tendencies and habits in my life. And as a teenager, I started to notice that I was becoming a people pleaser. I was moving from home to home, and I wanted to establish trust and rapport and build friendships instantly because I was looking for love. And at first it was great. But over time, I noticed that I was becoming inauthentic. So 22 years old, I graduated Ohio State, and I moved to Chicago to become an investment banker. The reality of this is that I didn't want to become an investment banker. I was doing it for approval from my family. And so I noticed in conversations with my coworkers, with my boss, with potential clients, that I wasn't being real. I was living a lie. I was faking that this was my passion. I did this for 3 years of my life. Until one day I got a phone call. And I found out my father had just collapsed in the shower and was being taken to the hospital. This is the 5th phone call that I got like this in 4 years. As I flew to Connecticut to rush to the hospital to be with him, he was in hospice. And for the years leading up to that, he had literally given up on life and drank himself to death. And I remember sitting there and holding his hand and wanting to know why. Why did he do this to himself? Why did he do this to me? And I asked him for the first time in my life. And he said, "Because I am afraid." In that moment, I decided to never let myself, a loved one, or anyone that comes into my life be controlled by fear. So I flew back to Chicago. I went into my boss's office and I quit my job. For the next 5 years, I dedicated myself to understanding and learning and overcoming fear. I hired mentors. I attended classes, I read books, I did everything I could to understand this subject. I put myself in some of the most challenging and scary experiences in my life. And now today, I moved out here a year ago. I had lost my sole source of income. I was in a relationship that just ended. I put all of my possessions in my SUV and drove out to San Diego, not knowing where I would live or how I would make money. But I decided to launch a business. And now I coach high-achieving entrepreneurs to live a fearless life so that they have more certainty, they have more confidence, and they have more power to achieve everything that they want. Being fearless is not about not experiencing fear. Being fearless is about having the courage to do those things that scare you. And I want to leave you with this thought. Your life begins where fear ends. So start living your life fearlessly today. Thank you.
Please take